There is a pattern most men never notice, and it decides how a woman thinks about you within seconds, not later, not after she knows you, right at the first spark of attraction. In her mind, things start moving fast. Images, impressions, silent judgments she will never confess out loud. And if you knew what those thoughts actually were, you would never see attraction the same way again. It would feel like discovering a hidden language running underneath every interaction. It's not your fault. Nobody ever sat you down and explained this side of attraction. Most men grow up learning surface level advice, confidence, looks, status, but the real process happening in her mind is never taught. So you end up guessing, overthinking, missing signals that were never meant to be obvious. I've seen this pattern again and again in real behavior shifts, and that's something I, Luna John, have spent years studying through female psychology and social dynamics. Today, I'm going to show you 7 specific mental patterns women experience when they feel attraction toward a man. Not guesses, not stereotypes, actual psychological responses tied to limbic processing and dopamine activation. And the last one is the one almost no man ever recognizes in time. When a woman feels attraction, her mind doesn't stay neutral. It captures snapshots of you, not physical photos, but emotional imprints. The way you speak, the micro expressions on your face, the way you pause before answering. Her brain starts building a silent profile using dopamine-driven attention loops and limbic system tagging. This is why first impressions feel so intense for her. She isn't just seeing you, she's predicting you. In evolutionary psychology, this is tied to rapid mate assessment. Her brain is scanning for safety, dominance, emotional stability, all in seconds. But here's what most men miss. She isn't evaluating you logically, she's feeling you. For example, imagine you're talking to her and you stay calm in a moment where most men would try too hard. You don't over-explain, you don't chase approval. Something inside her shifts. She may not show it, but her nervous system registers it as grounded, masculine energy. Oxytocin starts mixing with curiosity. Dopamine increases attention fixation. And now she starts replaying you. Not because she chose to, but because her brain is looping the emotional snapshot it just captured. She might smile at her phone later, thinking about a small moment you didn't even notice. This isn't fantasy. It's neurochemistry playing out in real time beneath awareness. And the more emotionally stable you appear in those early seconds, the stronger the imprint becomes. She doesn't need a conversation to start feeling something. She only needs a moment. At this stage, you start seeing attraction completely differently, almost uncomfortably clearly. Because once you understand this, you start realizing something unsettling. She is not reacting to you randomly. She is responding to internal emotional patterns you are triggering without words. And that means every small behavior either pulls her in or quietly shuts the door. Most men think attraction is about what they say next. But in reality, her nervous system has already made half the decision based on presence alone. And once that internal switch flips, words matter less than most men believe. But that's only the beginning, because point number 2, that's where most men lose her completely, and they never even know why. But that's only the beginning, because point number 2, that's where most men lose her completely, and they never even know why. Point number 2 is what I call the mirror effect trap. This is where her attraction either deepens or collapses without explanation. When she feels something for you, her brain starts mirroring you. Your tone, your confidence, your emotional stability, she unconsciously reflects it back. It's tied to mirror neurons and subconscious empathy circuits in the brain. But here's the dangerous part. If you become anxious, needy, or start over-explaining yourself, she doesn't just notice it, she absorbs it. And suddenly, the emotional image she had of you starts to blur. Most men think they can talk their way back into attraction, but you can't negotiate with a nervous system. Most men chase clarity, but you understand calibration. She isn't asking what you said, she's asking how it made her feel. If this is hitting different, tap the like button. It helps this reach men who genuinely need it. Now, point number 3, this one is even more subtle, And it happens when she starts testing you without even realizing it. I call it the silent calibration phase. This is where she introduces small emotional fluctuations into the interaction, a delayed reply, a slightly cold tone, a playful contradiction. Not because she's playing games consciously, but because her limbic system is checking your stability under uncertainty. In evolutionary terms, she is scanning for emotional regulation. Can you stay grounded when the emotional environment shifts? And here's what most men do wrong. They panic, they overtext, they try to fix the vibe immediately. And in doing that, they confirm instability. But a grounded man, he doesn't chase the emotional weather. He becomes the constant in it. This is where dopamine shifts from curiosity to deeper attachment conditioning, because unpredictability handled with calmness creates emotional safety at a subconscious level. But this is nothing, absolutely nothing, compared to what comes next. And what comes next is where attraction stops being random and starts becoming predictable in her subconscious mapping. This is the stage where her brain begins to associate your presence with emotional regulation itself. When you stay steady during her fluctuations, her nervous system releases less cortisol and more oxytocin over time. And that combination is what creates attachment without effort. You don't chase it, you become it. And slowly, she starts trusting your presence more than her own emotional impulses. That is the real shift most men never reach because they stay reactive. They react to every message, every pause, every change in tone. But you are learning to stay anchored, and that anchoring is what transforms attention into attachment. And when attachment begins to form like this, her behavior changes in ways she cannot fully explain. She finds herself thinking about you in quiet moments, not because she is choosing it, but because her brain has started predicting emotional relief in your presence. That prediction is what keeps her coming back mentally before she ever acts on it. And this is why understanding these patterns changes everything about how you move through attraction itself. And once you see this clearly, you can never unsee it, because every interaction starts revealing the hidden emotional mechanics behind what she feels next. And that leads directly into something far more intense than anything you've seen so far. And the real shift begins when you notice it in real time. And that shift is where everything starts to deepen in a way most men never notice until it's already too late. Point number 4 is what I call the future simulation loop. This is where her mind stops reacting to the present moment and starts projecting you into future scenarios without her permission. She doesn't sit there and decide it logically. It happens automatically through the brain's default mode network. The same system responsible for imagination, memory blending, and emotional forecasting. And suddenly, you are no longer just a man she is talking to. You become a presence she can picture in different emotional settings, walking beside her, sitting across from her in quiet moments, standing too close in a way that makes her heartbeat shift slightly without explanation. And the dangerous part, she doesn't tell anyone this, ever, because it feels too personal, too private, almost like a secret her own mind is keeping from her. Picture this, you're sitting with her in a coffee shop. The conversation is light, nothing dramatic, but every now and then, she pauses for half a second too long before replying. Her eyes drift for a moment, not away from you, but into imagination. She is no longer fully in the room. Her brain is simulating versions of you, not fantasies in a childish sense, but emotional predictions, how you would feel in different environments, how stable you would be under closeness, how her nervous system reacts when you are near for too long. And she doesn't even realize she's doing it. Her breathing subtly changes when this happens, slightly slower, more spaced out, because the parasympathetic nervous system is beginning to associate your presence with calm anticipation. And that's where emotional attachment starts to form underneath awareness. Most men miss this completely. They think silence is disinterest. But sometimes silence is her mind going somewhere she didn't plan to go. You see, most men try to impress in the moment, but you are either becoming a future memory or disappearing from it entirely. And this is where identity shifts begin. Most men will miss every one of these signals their whole lives. They'll keep thinking attraction is about saying the right thing at the right time, but you're starting to see the pattern underneath it, and that changes how you carry yourself without you even trying. Because now you understand she is not just responding to words, she is building emotional timelines around presence. And when you become the anchor in those timelines, everything changes. This is exactly what I see in my work, in my years studying female attraction patterns and behavioral psychology. My name is Luna John, and what most men call mystery is usually just misunderstood neuroscience playing out in real time. And once you recognize it like this, you start noticing something even deeper happening. Her curiosity doesn't stay still anymore. It starts leaning toward you in quiet, invisible ways, like her mind is testing how far it can imagine you before reality pulls her back. And the more grounded you stay, the further those thoughts go, until suddenly she begins to feel emotionally invested in a future that hasn't even happened yet. But there is one final piece, and this one, I almost didn't include it. Because once you know this, you cannot unknow it. And that final piece is what separates fleeting attention from deep psychological imprint. Point number 5 is what I call the emotional anchor lock. This is the moment her nervous system stops just reacting to you and starts relying on you for emotional regulation without her awareness. It sounds subtle, but it's powerful because her brain is constantly seeking homeostasis, emotional balance, safety, predictability in a world that feels unpredictable. And when you consistently show up as calm, grounded, and non reactive, something shifts inside her limbic system. You become a reference point, not a distraction, not excitement, a reference point. And here's the part most men completely misunderstand. She doesn't say this out loud. She may not even consciously recognize it, but her body remembers you differently than her mind explains you. Her breathing slows when she sees your name pop up. Her attention sharpens when you enter a space, not because she decided to react, but because her system already learned you as stable input. And this is where oxytocin begins to pair with familiarity, not romance, not fantasy, familiar emotional safety. Most men chase intensity. They think excitement is attraction. But you understand something deeper. Stability creates pull. Now imagine this in real life. She has a stressful day, arguments, pressure, emotional overload, and then she talks to you. Nothing dramatic happens. You don't fix her life. You don't over-explain. You don't chase her emotional chaos. You stay steady. And slowly, her system downshifts. Cortisol drops, breathing steadies, her mind quiets in a way she didn't expect. And later, when she's alone, her brain replays that feeling, not you, the feeling you created. That is emotional anchor lock. And once this pattern forms, she starts unconsciously seeking you when her emotional world becomes unstable. Not because she needs you, but because her nervous system remembers you as a regulation. Most men never realize this is happening. They think she's just in a good mood when she talks to them. But it's deeper than mood, it's conditioning. And here's the dangerous edge. Once she links you to emotional stability, distance doesn't erase it easily. Time doesn't fully delete it either, because the body remembers regulation faster than the mind forgets conflict. But this is nothing, absolutely nothing, compared to what comes next. Because what comes next is where attraction stops being something she experiences and starts becoming something she returns to automatically. And once that happens, you're no longer just part of her thoughts, you become part of her emotional baseline. And that shift changes everything about how she interacts with you, even when she tries not to show it. Because now silence feels different, absence feels louder, and your presence carries weight she can't logically explain anymore. And that leads directly into something even more intense, where her subconscious begins attaching meaning to your smallest behaviors in ways she would never admit out loud.